What's up, guys? It's your boy WingsofRedemption, and today I'm giving you another gameplay commentary. It's an old gameplay. It's by no means the greatest in the world, but this ain't about the gameplay. Today, what I want to talk about is choice, and how a lot of people think that they don't might have much of it. Well, majority everyone knows they have choices. That's what free will is. I'm not talking about that. The fact of the matter is, there are a lot of people out there who don't realize that they have more control over things than they may think. A lot of people out there think that they don't have control over their own destiny as much as they do. And what does that lead to? Stupidity in an unchanging world. People think that they're just another cog in the machine. That they're formed by all the outside forces around them, but then blame everyone else for how it turned out instead of making choices for yourself. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. For those who don't know, a self-fulfilling prophecy is a prediction that causes itself to become true by the very terms of the prophecy itself. That prediction will evoke the behavior to manifest and come true. If you're saying that you're going to be a failure in school, drop out, and have a sucky life, guess what's going to happen? They tend to think that they have no control over things, and so they inevitably act as if they don't, and then blame all the external forces that they themselves allowed to take control over them. Let me give you an example. We have a presidential election coming up here soon. On one hand, you have Romney, and the other Obama. That's your choice, or at least that's what you're led to believe. But with a two-party system that this country runs on, that's all we're going to get. Two choices. All the candidates get ground until the two people they find the least objectionable are left. These are the people that have stayed in the middle as much as possible and stayed as neutral as much as they can, as much to not offend as many would-be voters away. The fact of the matter is, Romney and Obama are the same person. They are. They're pretty much identical when you get down to it, with minor differences that don't really matter. They're both for big business and for helping out their own special interests, and that's it. I forget who said this, but there was some news anchor who said a while ago that whomever gets elected will get the praise or the blame for what would have happened anyway. Why? Well, there are two reasons for this. One is that the president doesn't have as much power as the general public think they do. You know, the market fluctuates, and that has little or nothing to do with what some big guy in a big White House does. You know, another reason is that by and large, people don't like change. So from election to election, each candidate is probably going to be about the same. You know, and that's why you have someone like Ron Paul who's not in the vote because his ideas were too different from all the other mindless drones who tried to stay in the middle and just get as many people to like them as possible. And I should really just stray away from politics, kind of getting off track, but both candidates are terrible anyway. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Let me give you another example about choice. Fast food. Everybody loves fast food. It's fast, it's cheap, and it's delicious. It becomes so convenient at times that it almost becomes an inevitability. So people continue to eat it and feed it to their kids and whatnot, and what's next? You know, you've gained some weight. That walk up the stairs isn't easy as it used to be. Maybe you're not feeling as healthy, you know, maybe you're breathing a little harder. That's the price you pay. No one forced you to do it, you made that choice. Now what happens is that people blame the fast food industry for them having diabetes or their kids being obese when it was you that caused that in the first place. Now I'm not saying that fast food or other vices don't have their place or should be abolished or anything, but you know, you have to have some moderation. You know, people need to take responsibilities for their actions and stop blaming external forces after the fact. Now, we've all made mistakes. You know, it happens. Some of us are overweight. Some of us are undereducated. Some of us are poor. You know, we all run into a little bit of bad luck here or there, but for the most part, you have a huge say in what goes on in your life. You know, you have choices. You can't blame the universe for your inability to make the right decisions in life. You know, you have to own up to it. It just don't work like that. It just don't work that way. People always thinking that they have to go to college, get a degree, become some businessman, work for the government. That's not true for everyone. That's why there's different choices. You know, why are so many billionaires college dropouts? Because they made the choices that they felt was right for them. You always hearing stories about huge student loans that can't be paid off and such because people didn't feel like they had a choice but to go to college. And I'm not saying that education isn't important, because it is. It is. But not everyone needs to follow the same path. Uh, I, you don't have to be on the straight and narrow is what I'm saying. You can get out of high school and learn a trade, and you can still make hundreds of dollars. You don't need that big corporate job to get by. You have different choices. I, I have an unusual job. I do. I have an unusual job, and I don't get to go to school for it. I found a nice little niche for what I do. And you call this work playing video games? There are work-like aspects to it. Just because it's not as structured as your typical 9 to 5 doesn't make it a job. There are still times when you feel like you don't feel like playing, or you want to take a break from it, just like any other job, even a job that at times you find enjoyment doing. And there ain't nothing wrong with finding enjoyment in what you do. People think that they don't have a choice but to put your head to the grindstone for 30, 40 some odd years and whatnot, and then retire, and then you can enjoy life. No. You have choices. You aren't sequestered to a life of slavery, There are options out there that people think don't exist. They disavow that chance to be happy. And you think you think I could go down in the streets and tell people that I can make a living doing what I do, or shooting guns, or videotaping your life and posting it on the internet? Now there are some people who might believe that, but for the most part, people might not want to think that is to be true. To be perfectly honest, many people think that to work is to suffer, and that doesn't necessarily have to be true. The fact of the matter is that people take the mode most traveled. They do what everyone else is doing and think that everything has to be a certain way. Their parents thought that, and the cycle continues because their kids will too. And this brings me back to the matter of an unchanging world. Not everyone feels like they have choices or say in the matter, and when that inevitability comes along, whatever that may be, they complain and blame everyone else. And it ends up getting to the point where they're feeding poison to the cow, and when it dies, they blame the cow for dying instead of whatever was feeding it. That's not the best analogy in the world, but I think you know what I'm getting at. People always try to blame everything on the outside before looking inwardly towards themselves and whether or not they made the right choices, and they seem to think that they don't have as much control of their lives as they do. And fact is, we all do run into our strings of both good and bad luck, and some more than others. We do all have our demons to face, but by and large, you can only get out as much of life as you put in. And a lot of people think that everything needs to be handed to them instead of seeing the choices that are right in front of themselves and taking it. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on the matter. If you could, as always, please leave a rating. I much appreciate it. Anyways, this has been your boy. I'm out about that. Peace, pimps.